Hello again. I can't remember my name now. This is Oleg Moskalansky with PCS, and today we're going to talk about efficiently managing notifications, all kinds of notifications, Google Plus notifications, Twitter notifications. Now, as we live in a world of many different applications, and at the same time, each application, or I should say not each, but many of them, um, want to make our lives easier by notifying us of something occurring, because otherwise there'll be just too much information. And so Google Plus does it, Facebook does it, Twitter does it, all the major social media platforms do it. The trouble is managing all of this becomes both tedious, time-consuming, and difficult because we have these certain moments in time when we have some time to dedicate to it, and the process itself is kind of like a crapshoot for a lot of people. So that's one problem. Second thing is we also need to deal with emails, and we talked about managing emails in one of the prior Hangouts that I had, how you can use a certain method that, not the only method out there, but certainly one of the methods to methodically manage your emails with relative amount of ease and do it quickly. So today I'm going to propose a similar approach in terms of managing notifications. But as I was thinking about doing this notifications management concept, I came across I just had some other thoughts on the same subject that wound up evolving into something much more than just notifications management. And so I'd like to share that with you today and give you all the details, and at the same time explain both my thoughts and the method of how to manage effectively and how to deal with notifications, links, and a bunch of other information in a more efficient and effective manner. And one of the things I wanted to caution in terms of before we start here is that when I talk about managing notifications and then dealing with notifications, those are two different steps. And because I don't know all of you in terms of details of your needs, business needs or personal needs, in terms of dealing with notification, it's a very personal type endeavor. So I'm going to concentrate on the management part of notifications. And then in terms of actually dealing with it, since it's so subjective and individualized, that's something that you'll need to do on your own. And I'll explain exactly what I mean by that a little bit later on. But just so it's clear that we're going to be dealing with the management part, the efficient management, and then that'll give you sufficient information for how to actually deal with the actual content itself afterwards. I'm going to run a little presentation here that I put together to make it easier, and because I'm going to be doing some mobile demos as well, I recorded some of these things ahead of time just to make it easier so I can just show you the videos. And then you will see a URL at the top of the screen in the presentation where you can leave questions. And so feel free to put whatever questions you have on the subject. I won't get to them to the very end of the presentation because it's me, myself, and I. So I don't want to be stopping in the middle and looking at, I might bring up a question potentially from comments during the presentation too, but for the most part, enter those at that URL, and then I'll deal with them at the very end and answer them to the best of my abilities. So without further ado, let me start the presentation here, and we'll get going. Okay, so efficient notifications management. That's the main topic, and that's what we're going to be discussing today, along with a bunch of other very useful stuff. Something that's not necessarily brand new. Some of these tools you'll see are new to you possibly. Other tools you've seen for a long time. And I think the challenge that I'm hoping that we're going to eliminate by the end of this Hangout is that it's not the fact that these things exist, it's just using them together, what a lot of people are missing, I think. At least I haven't seen anybody doing this in my experience. So if all of the things I'm telling you already knew, excellent. If you didn't, hopefully you'll find it useful. So let's move on here. So we get, as I said, we get notifications from all over the place. We got Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and a bunch of apps, never-ending story. And notifications come in, and we get this little red box or whatever it is with the number that's in there. And this morning I woke up, I had 17, wasn't too bad, especially considering I went really late to bed last night, and it was totally clear. But sometimes you have a lot, and if you look at some of the more prominent people, people like see who comes to mind, Martin Shervington, for example, who is very prolific in Google Plus. I'm sure he gets 99 plus every morning. People like David Amerlin get a ton of them all the time, I'm sure, as well. And so there's some people that get just a tremendous number of notifications. So managing them is really, really important, and not just from one app. Imagine all the other apps. And so they come, of course, different apps show them in different places, and the importance and size of these notifications varies. But all of them have one thing in common. And that one thing is that basically we're dealing with links. Okay? I mean, it shows notification, but essentially what they're showing us is a little bit of text pointing to where the information is, which is nothing more than a link. I mean, we are dealing here with a hypertext environment, which is basically information, and it also can be linked. So all the notifications are nothing more than pointers to where the content is, or links. Okay, so we're talking about links here in terms of notifications. Typically, each app has its own notifications, and links are typically bookmarked or saved to Google. They have the new option called Save to Google. But yeah, we're kind of used to the concept of, if you have a website or a page that you want to be able to refer to later, you bookmark it. Simple enough. We all have the bookmark toolbar at the top here, like I have right there. And we certainly put in our bookmarks. The challenge with doing this using bookmarks is that it starts out really simple, really small, and then it starts growing. And then we get into the, okay, we can use folders. We can use a folder. So like my Google Keep specific links to different Google Keep things are in a folder called Google Keep. And so this way I don't have to have a ton of different little links. I can have just one folder. And so by having these different folders, we can put stuff in folders. The challenge is, and we can even do folders within folders, which is wonderful. Okay. The challenge is with all this stuff is just it keeps growing. It's a never-ending story. And these folders get bigger and bigger and bigger. And we don't really go back and delete things for the most part. At least most of us don't. So you might end up having kind of like your basically what's the word? I can't remember the word now in English. But anyway, you're basically accumulating all these things all the time, and you're never getting rid of it. Okay. And so it's a very inefficient approach, because you're just dumping these links. Yeah, I'm going to get to it later, but later never comes. And so it becomes counterproductive and not very effective in terms of what you're trying to do. So we talked about doing the efficient email management, and I showed how you can go in and you select all the new messages, and then you go through them and check off the ones that you care about in any way, shape, or form, and then you go ahead and delete the rest of them, and then you go ahead and go through the ones that are left, and you can either pin them to deal with them as a group, or you can snooze them to a later time so they come back and remind you later on. You can create reminders, you can put things in bundles. I'm not going to go over the details of Inbox by Gmail, but that's a extremely good application for managing email well, because Gmail itself is an excellent email client, but it doesn't have management capabilities anywhere near to what Inbox by Gmail has. And so initially, Inbox by Gmail didn't have sufficient number of features and options. And I think actually, to get a little philosophical here, I think what Google did was, when they came out with Wave, their hope was that they would sway everybody to go from email into a different communications medium. And I think what happened at that point is that they realized, once they saw that the people were not really jumping from Gmail or other email programs into Wave, they decided it's going to be just another app. And not to say that Google doesn't come up with a bunch of communication apps. We just saw the new Allo, and also what's the new one, the Duo, and we have the Messenger, and we have the Hangouts. I mean, we have all these different communication tools. So it's not like Google doesn't come up with a bunch of them. But in that case, I think they decided that they're not going to sway people away from email is the bottom line. And I think they were correct in that, because it'll be just a monumental task to get people off of email, considering how much is being used. So they came up with the inbox and built capabilities for managing things better, but they also tied it directly to the same storage, I should say, backend as Gmail. So you're essentially looking at the same exact data. You're just looking at it in a totally different interface, and you have a number of capabilities that are similar, but also you have a bunch of capabilities that don't exist in Gmail. And so once they added some of the key features that I was looking for, Inbox became, at this point, I would say on the desktop, I use Inbox probably 70, 80% of the time versus Gmail. And on the mobile, probably 95%. I'm in Inbox versus Gmail. So on my phone, I almost completely stopped using Gmail because Inbox does everything I want to do. And with this particular thing we're discussing today, it becomes really important, even more important in terms of Inbox, because it not only has ability to manage Gmail or manage your email, in other words, you're able to do more things. And so that's what we're gonna kind of go through today, is that the Inbox is the essential app here, is the point I'm trying to make. And so I'm hoping that you know what these things like pinning and snoozing and bundles and reminders do. I'll go over it a little bit, but not much, because that's not the main topic of today's discussion. We already covered all of that before. But the bottom line is that all of these things allow you to really do excellent email management. And if you haven't been using Inbox by Gmail, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you start using it. Not just for this thing we're doing today, but for email itself. So email is managed well within Inbox is the point here. In terms of notifications, we can actually do the same thing with notifications management, because we can get those notifications, meaning the links, to actually move from different places into Inbox by Gmail. Okay, so we'll show some examples shortly here, but that's the main concept I'd like you to keep in mind here, is that we're using Inbox not only to bring in emails, but also to bring in information dealing with notifications. And we still are able to use the same wonderful features and capabilities of management, such as spinning and snoozing and bundles and reminders. All of this potentially could be used. If we could bring it in here, then we could use the same thing with notifications as well. Okay. And the key to using this and bringing it to Gmail, Inbox by Gmail, is by using Chrome extensions. Those are the key things kind of to start with. They're not the only things, but they're one of the main things. And that's why I'm saying the Chrome extensions, which are safe to Inbox, which is actually called Inbox by Gmail, and then safe to keep, or just Google Keep extension. Those are the two extensions you should definitely, I highly recommend you install on your Chrome one right here. This is one of them right here, Inbox by Gmail, up at the top here, and then this one is the safe to keep. Okay, so those are things that you definitely should install and have available, so you can use them anytime you wish on the desktop side. On the mobile side, you don't need to install anything. You just have a bunch of capabilities already. But those are the two things that you need. You need the save to Inbox, and you need to save to keep. So I'm going to show these links here in case you want to go ahead and get them easily. These are the URLs you can go to pick up both of these extensions from the web store, Chrome Web Store. And these particular two extensions, on the desktop at least, definitely hold the key to this entire efficient notifications management, as we call it. Okay, so I'm gonna give it 2 more seconds here, and hopefully you got the URLs. Keep in mind, when you get these kind of URLs, when you see me posting URLs, not just me, but anybody else, avoid the whole first part, because it's always the same. This is https://go.gl/, it's always the same on these short links. The only thing you really need to write down, or if you want to write down the record, is this last part here, and that's all you really need. And then you just add the prefix, which is always the same. Okay, let's move on here. So let me show you some examples. So example number one is we're going to save to inbox from a desktop. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run through this video and explain what's going on. So I get notification, I pull it down, and I get all these different notifications. So I can easily click on any of them. In this case, I click on this one, and it shows me what the post is. And now if I actually go to where it's got date and time on the post itself and right click on it, I have an option called Save to Inbox. So I select that, which is the extension I was just talking about. And now it says Save to Inbox. And I can click on View. Normally you don't click on View. It's just, if you wanted to, you could. I just wanted to show you that it actually does it. And now if I go ahead and look at my saved bundle, as they call it, saved, then you can see right there, it actually stored the link to that post. And if I click on it, it'll come up. So normally when I do these things with notifications, I don't click on every one of them and say save and then view and then see it. I mean, nothing like that. You just right click, you select save, and you move on to the next notification. You keep doing this for all the notifications that you care to be able to get to later. Now, the important thing here is not to dwell and look at these particular posts at this particular point in time, okay? The idea here is just to collect, or amass as they call it, the links, and then you're gonna deal with them later. All we're doing is saying, okay, is this thing even somewhat interesting to you? If it's not, ignore it, okay? Move on to the next one. If it is even somewhat interesting and you wanna be able to look at it, do not look at it right now, okay? We're not looking at it now. All you're doing is saving it to inbox and you're moving on to the next extension. I'm sorry, next notification, okay? So you just keep going through every single notification and then you right click and you save if you need it and then move on to the next one, right click, save if you need it, and you just do it for as many notifications as you want and then you're done, okay? You're not looking at any videos, you're not playing anything, you're not doing anything. The reason I say that is because at this stage, what we're doing is just collecting the data. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this being similar to RSS. And the reason I say that is because RSS feeds usually, they bring data to us and then we can look at them and consume them, do whatever we want to do with them. So think of this as the manual process of doing the RSS, although this is a much more intelligent way to do it because RSS gathers everything. And in this case, we're only gathering stuff that we actually want and need, and we're skipping everything else, okay, when it comes to notifications. So that's why it's much, much more intelligent than just blind RSS process. It is a little bit more time consuming, but we're going to break it down in such a way where it's not going to be a big deal. So for now, you simply use the extension to save the link using save to inbox, and you're done, and you're moving on to the next notification, okay? So that's an example of doing that. Now, another thing you can do is, of course, save to keep. And so let's look at an example here. I'm going to play the video here so you can see. So here's an example where we go and we do the same thing, and we right-click, and we have a deal down there called Save Current Page to Keep. So we do this, and then we go, it says it's saved. And we can put in an additional note in here, as you can see, because it's going to keep. So it says testing, note, and keep. And then we can also add labels. You can see a little label thing in the bottom right corner there. So you can put labels in there. And all of this is automatically getting saved. So it's wonderful. But as it says in the comment here, unfortunately, it's not what's expected. And I'll explain in a second what I mean by that. So if we go back there and we select a couple of labels, whatever we need, and click anywhere basically for it to get away, we go back and we see that there is this thing here, but if you click on it, it did save it. Okay, but if I click on the link here, you see it's got my text in there, everything. But if I click on the link, look what happens. It came back with inbox as the link. It did not come up with that particular post that we tried to save, with the Beatles photo on it. Okay, so the reason it did that, so the question is save to Google Keep is flawed? No, it's not really flawed. What the deal with the save to Google Keep is it's actually saving an entire page, whereby save to inbox would save a link, whatever it points to. Okay, so it could be a post, it could be a page, could be whatever the link points to. The save to Google Keep extension saves the entire page, meaning if you were just simply trying to get to a post, it's not going to do it. It's going to save whatever the current page on the screen is. That's what it's going to save. Doesn't matter what you right click on or what you put. I was sitting in inbox, so it saved the inbox page itself, which of course is not what we wanted. So keep that in mind, that if you're trying to save an entire page and you're on that page, then this particular extension is wonderful, because you can add, you can make quickly additional meta information, if you will. You can add to it by typing in the text and selecting certain labels and things like that, which are very handy, very useful for search and subsequent, finding things, everything else. That's wonderful. The trouble is, like I said, it saves the entire page that the browser is currently in, has nothing to do with what you're clicking in terms of right clicking and selecting link and anything else. Okay, so keep that in mind. Whichever page you're physically sitting on, that's what this extension will save. Still very useful, by the way. Don't discount it as it's not useful. It is not flawed. It just works differently than the save to inbox works. So you have to keep that in mind. Okay. So okay, I said we're going to take questions from the audience. We talked about getting all this information, getting these links, and getting them in place. And let's see, we got a question from somebody here. Let's see, what's the question? What? Who sent this? Cute. It says anonymous. Okay, so first of all, I take offense at these kind of name calling right in the middle of HOA. And second of all, I mean, I can produce my birth certificate, and we can even do my parents' DNA test if you want, or I guess not this time. But anyway, yeah, the reason links are important because, like I said, notifications are links. So that's why we're talking about links, because it's all about links, and notifications are essential links. All right, so much for me doing Jerry Seinfeld here. The next thing that's really important in this discussion is mobile, of course. Everybody and their brother has a phone, and people are using the phone more and more and more. And I mean, mobile phones and mobile devices in general. And so, because of all this activity, Google obviously is putting its efforts into mobile in a very meaningful fashion. And at the same time, people use mobile for a lot of things because it's convenient. I mean, I'm right here, I have a phone, I need to look something up. I'm not going to go wait till I get home to pull up a Google map so I know where to drive. I just pull it up right on my phone because it's available. So it's understandable why people use mobile. On one hand, you could say that you can't put something that's on a huge screen down to a tiny screen with the same level of readability and ease of use, that deal. But at the same time, people obviously manage the right apps to use these small screens and make sure that the applications are written specifically to deal with the size being what it is, and for most of the time it seems to work out pretty well. I mean, it's not a problem. So mobile is another place where we can do cool stuff, and so let's go through some demos on the mobile stuff. So here's an example of doing something with Twitter. So I go on my phone, I click on Twitter, and I look through some posts there, and I find this post that I'm interested in. So I just long click on it, and then I select share via, and then it gives me all these options. And the only option I really care to see at this point is option right there. In this case, I'm saving it to keep, so I can put my own title on it. And notice that I'm also able to put in labels right from there from my cell phone. And so I'm gonna check a couple of labels off and stuff. And then once the labels are checked, then putting a title, and you can put some additional text if you want. and then I just click on save and I'm done. And you can see right there there's the new note on the left side there. It says tweet share example, which is the title I gave it, and it's got the link, and it's got the tags there. And if I click on it, it opens it right up in Twitter to that particular post. So this is a way how I'm able to get things using the extension to save to keep from the mobile device, not extension save to keep, using the share capability on the phone to save to keep, to be able to have information going to keep and available to easily access the information afterwards. Another example is do Instagram, for example. Let's say I wanted to save something in Instagram, and let's say instead of saving it to keep, in this case, I want to save it right to inbox. So let's see what that works like. And so I go ahead and I select Instagram, and I scroll through and look at some, let's say this boat, for example, looks good. So I simply select I think it's a pull down menu there, and you select share. And then from there, I got the same kind of deal. So I select inbox, and it says, what do you want to do? Save to inbox or email it? So I say save to inbox, and I'm done. And so if I went to inbox, I would see that particular boat picture right there in the inbox. Okay, which is exactly what you want, quickly, efficiently, no problem. So again, to reemphasize what we talked about before, what we're doing is we're grabbing information from all these various sources, and we're storing the links to that information either in inbox or in keep. Okay, let's move on here. And so here's a Facebook example. Let's do that one too. So this is using the Facebook app on my cell phone. And it's the wrong video. Cute. Okay, I can't show it to you because it's the wrong video. But essentially it's the same thing. If you just simply share the post directly from the phone, and then that post goes into, let's say in this case, you cannot share directly to the inbox. So what happens here is just they give you a link, and when you select that link, you can, when you say select link, it will store it in the clipboard. And then what you can do is you can go to your little reminder widget that comes with Androids, which is part of the inbox for Gmail. You have a widget called Add a Reminder, and you simply drop it into that reminder and paste it directly into the reminder. And that's all you need to do to be able to get back to this. I'm sorry, this somehow the wrong video got in here. And so here's an example of using a reminder from the desktop, same reminder that I was talking about, directly from the desktop. So you go into here and you select from the inbox the little reminder icon, and then you either paste a link in here or some information, whatever you want to do. So in this case, I'm just typing some text there. Okay, and like I said, you can click here to also paste the link, and you can also put text to go with the link too if you want. So those are your choices. And there it is. There is a little reminder at the top of the screen. It's got my text in it, and I can do all these different operations like pinning. In this case, I unpinned it because by default it's pinned. I can obviously delete it. I can snooze it. I mean, there's a bunch of capabilities of what I can do with this thing. But essentially, that's how you get it in there. And like I said, if you're trying to save Facebook, it will only give you a link. So you simply use this reminder capability on your cell phone to add that link by pasting the link directly into this thing, and it'll stick it in there, and you'll see it in the inbox screen. Okay, let's try the reminder inbox on mobile. So on the mobile deal, you have, that's my little widget at the bottom there, and I simply click on it, type in my text, and then I click save. And then if I go back to the inbox, you'll see it there. It doesn't show it, but basically it would definitely work. So I mean, that's all you really need to do. Okay. So again, all of these things are you're able to grab and drop directly into inbox using these different extensions and share capabilities from the mobile devices. And the moral here is that you wind up making your inbox by Gmail to become like a portal for everything, all the information that you need to be able to process later on. It all winds up going into the inbox. Okay, and this is the key point I want to stress and overstress again. All of the stuff that you're trying to manage, whether it's links, whether it's notifications, whether it's anything else that you're trying to manage anywhere from any of the apps, you wind up using these extensions on the desktop and by sharing on the mobile to get all of this into inbox. So your inbox becomes the portal. Okay. And keep in mind what we said before. Your inbox, its basic functionality to start with is for the purposes of email. So because we all live in email as the one of the main environments that we deal with on a consistent basis, and because these things were now dropping into the same environment, we wind up being in the same place at the same time, being able to manage this in a single centralized location. So this is like your portal for just about everything that you want to be able to deal with. And that's what makes it such a powerful concept, in my opinion, is that you're able to eliminate this constant dropping all over the place, that you're dealing with all these Instagram deals. And then it takes you, I don't know, 30 minutes. And then you jump into, you got some notifications from email, so you deal with that. And then it's a major interruption of time if you're doing it this way, but you constantly are trying to deal with it as it comes in. And so the idea here is the first step in this process is let's just get all this stuff into a single place so we can manage it effectively. And so right now, I was showing you all these examples, all these things dealing with amassing all this information into a single location, okay, which happens to be Inbox by Gmail. And my huge kudos to Google for enabling this kind of functionality, because I think it's a killer functionality in terms of efficiency, doing all kinds of stuff. So that's our centralized place. Everything is in one place. Everything is centralized, and we're able to put our emails in here. We're able to put our inbox reminders in here. We're able to put our calendar reminders in here. When we create calendar reminder, it'll show up here in inbox. We're able to create reminders in Keep, which will wind up being visible in inbox as well. We can save the links in here. So essentially everything, all of these different things can be going to the same place, easily available to us for manipulation later on. Okay? And once we amass and get all the stuff in here from all these different places, now we can actually effectively deal with it when we manage it, when we come to the management part, by being able to snooze things so they come back to us at a more convenient time. And I'll discuss this in just a second. We're able to pin things, to organize certain things together so we can deal with them as a group. We're able to also obviously delete things, and we're able to annotate things. So that's another important feature, that things like Gmail, for example, or any of your notifications, normally you don't have notification with the ability to annotate it in any way. And when you're working in teams of people, especially for business purposes, it's an invaluable option, because if you have something and multiple people handle things, it's nice to not only be able to have the link available, but also be able to put a little bit of information to annotate it, to indicate what needs to be done with this particular link. So it's extremely useful, extremely handy to have that. And then, of course, you can mark things as done when you get done with them, which is what normally happens. So it's a nice way to get them off our list, so to speak, so we don't have to deal with it anymore. And of course, Google provides as many, well, I don't think it's as many, but quite a few bundles that you can create, and that's similar to labels on Gmail, but somewhat different, because it gives you ability to keep things away from your inbox, and at the same time store them in a nice, organized manner for a particular task. Like, for example, I mean, one thing that comes to mind, since we're storing all these links from all these different apps, let's say you're storing different Instagram pictures that you like the best, okay? Let's say that, you have certain people that you follow on Instagram, you love some of their pictures, you want to be able to take some of these pictures and store them in a particular place. Well, if you use this approach for managing everything, email, notifications, links, everything, then you can do the same thing with Instagram too. You're looking at your Instagram on your phone, and you go ahead and you just save it to inbox, for example. And then when you manage all of your things, as we're coming up here shortly, you'll see, then we can just drop it into a bundle called Instagram pictures, for lack of a better word, or my favorite Instagram pictures, whatever you want to call it. And that makes it really easy to keep all these pictures in one place. They're nicely, stored there, and you can, pull them up at any point in time instantly by just clicking on whichever one, because it actually shows you a little thumbnail. It's got a little description. I mean, it's beautiful the way it works. All you do is just move it to a bundle. So very, very handy. And to reiterate my point earlier is, you're getting all these things from different places coming into a single place. So it's not unlike an RSS feed coming into your RSS reader. Think of the inbox as your RSS reader. And the reason I say it's on steroids is because you're only getting information that you care about, information you need, and information that you want, not a bunch of other stuff that's completely irrelevant to you. That's why I think it makes it such a powerful medium of grabbing all the stuff coming to you from all over the place so you can manage it better. Okay? And so with that being said, we're going to go and do a little live demo here. And I'll show you some other kind of cool tricks you can do. We'll use my Save tool to show you how you can do some cool stuff. So let's go right into a live demonstration here. I'm going to pull up Inbox, and I'm going to make screen a little bit bigger here, so it's a little bit easier to see for everybody. Not too much bigger. I don't want it to scroll forever like this. Okay, so as you can see here is just regular inbox display, and there's a bunch of stuff there. If you've used Inbox, then you know exactly what it's like. If you haven't used Inbox, then this is what it's going to look like. And you can get rid of this part if you want by clicking here, so it's a little bit cleaner. The bottom line, there's all kinds of emails. There's emails that have been read, emails that haven't been read, all kinds of different things. So one thing I want to point out to you is that it also has this category called Saved, which is available on the left side here. In addition to all the bundles, we have these special bundles. One of them is called Saved. And this is where, when you use the Save to Inbox extension, that's where it puts it. Okay, it puts it in the Saved category, and then you can easily click on Saved, and you can see whatever different options are. Whatever you saved using Save to Inbox, it goes in here. It doesn't matter where it came from. Okay. And another thing that I wanted to point out is when you use the Save to, for example, when there's a link that you saved, you have ability to open it by clicking here. If you save a reminder, you have ability, like my Facebook thing I was showing you. This is actually let me see if that's the boat thing. Oh no, this is the enchilada thing. Yeah. So there's in the example that I screwed up on the video. This is basically this, you see it stored right there. So just clicking on an open link goes right to that and stuff. So you get that. Then in addition to that, you have things that were saved to using Google Keep, and now I can't find any. Maybe I deleted all of them. But anyway, if you save, if you save something to keep, then it would show up here, and it would actually give you an option, like it says open link. It would say open and keep. So remember, you're saving to keep, but it winds up being available here as well. Or you create a reminder in calendar, it winds up being here as well. If you save something, you share something from a mobile, it winds up. So everything is here. Okay. The problem is it's a hodgepodge of stuff, so it's difficult to manage. So how do you manage it in a more efficient manner? The way I do it is I set up this one option with special command, which we'll show you in a minute what it is. And what it does, it makes things much more manageable, because I'm only looking at new emails that haven't been read yet. So not necessarily new, but the emails that haven't been read yet. So only the bold stuff comes up here, as you can see. Okay. In addition to that, I have this string up here. You can see what the search is. I'm saying show me everything that's unread, and it's an inbox. So that would be all the emails. Or show me all of the reminders, because that's what it stores, all these saved things and reminders. All of them go in reminders. And then show me the ones that are not done. This minus sign here before is done, and you can also say in done, in colon done, it would work also. But the idea is the minus sign means not. So I'm saying show me all the reminders that have not been done yet, have not been marked as done. Okay. And so if you scroll through this list, you can see there's the emails. Like this particular item here was saved, okay, which is using the extension and as a link. And then if we scroll down, then we start having some of the reminders that says here, see it says open link, which is my Facebook deal, and some additional ones here. And then we've got something was saved here, which is the picture from, this is Google Plus notification. That was snooze, there it is, it's brought it back. I have things like that video that I was showing you that is saved from the mobile device. So if I click on it, it's going to take me right to the Google Plus post where I saved it from, and then now I can play it if I wanted to. So it's nice that it opens in another window, very convenient. Here's an example of an Instagram thing that I saved. So if I click on that, it'll go ahead and open up Instagram on my desktop. And by the way, all this obviously works on mobile as well. And so you can see there's a picture from the Instagram. Okay. Notice that I see the thumbnail of it right in here. I don't even need to open it to quickly see what the deal is. And there's a bunch of other ones similarly saved, a bunch of that. So the bottom line, and here's an example right here, where it says open Google Keep. So as you can see, that was saved. The idea, it was saved using Google Keep extension. So it opens up, it shows here an inbox, but I can open it in Google Keep. Let's open it just so you can see what it looks like. So I'll open it by clicking on it, and basic notification that this concert is coming up, and where it's going to be, and so on and so forth. So I got it from somewhere as a notification. There's a link to it, and there it is. Okay, so bottom line is, again, everything is in one place. I got my emails that I need to deal with, and I got all of the things coming from the inbox, saved inbox coming from the save to keep, from the mobile, from the desktop. Everything is in one place, and I can deal with it. I can deal with it here on desktop. I can deal with it on the mobile device. Okay, and when I say deal with it, how would you deal with it? Well, if you look at each one of these things here, you can see that we have ability to pin this particular item here. I can pin it, I can snooze it, I can delete it, and I can move it. So in this particular case, if I open it, it opens up a page. And so this is my spec zone page. It talks about the spec zone service, which is a way to get an IT department for small businesses without incurring the costs. It's an affordable way to get an IT department of your own. So this is an example right there, and I have a link directly to it right from a deal. Let's say I was done with this thing. So all I have to do, if I'm done, I just pull down the menu, and I say move it to done. That's it. And when I move it to done, it shows now, it'll show up as something that's done. And if I was to refresh the screen, this will not show up anymore. And so you can do the same thing with as many items as I wanted to. Let's say, for example, I have this, let's pull up a reminder somewhere. Let's say that this particular reminder here on this Facebook, I wanted to deal with this later. So I'm going to click on snooze and say I want to pull it up this weekend sometime. So I click on this weekend, and now it shows me that it's going to be pulling it up on June 4th. And it'll, next time I refresh the screen, it's not going to be here anymore. So essentially, you go quickly and you just manage all of these things accordingly, where you snooze them, you pin them if you need to have things pinned, or you delete things if you want to delete them. So the part of the management part, the first part was to just get everything in here. We simply share what we want, and once we share it, we're done with it. We're not doing anything with it. Then what you do is you set up a calendar if you look at your calendar, you can set up in your calendar certain times that you're going to be dedicated specifically to managing your content. Okay, and I don't want to say I almost said email notifications. It's really managing everything you have. And the reason I say that is because if you set it up like a 5 or 10 or 15-minute interval, and you do it every so often, and by the way, feel free to use the new Google Goals to say, I want to be able to manage my notifications and links 3 times a week or every day or whatever your schedule permits. And then just have it be there available to you to deal with it whenever. The idea being that you cannot really deal with notifications because they come in at different times. So you cannot set up a time saying, this is when I'm going to get all my notifications done, so that's when I'm going to deal with it. They come in all the time. Sometimes it's urgent, sometimes it's not. To quickly go through notifications, pull it down, and quickly select what I care about to see, then, people plus wanting my stuff, that's wonderful, but I don't need to do anything with this. And then over here, it's got, Mike Downs, for example, said something, and I'm kind of mildly interested, not mildly, I'm actually very interested in what he has to say. And he wrote some deal there. So right now I don't need to deal with this. It's just he wrote me a message. So I go back, and then over here we've got some people commenting on this particular. So in other words, I don't have any notifications here that I really want to save to deal with later. Okay, but let's assume that one of these things was. So essentially, I can just click on this, clear all, and I'll be done. I'm done with notification. But let's, for a second, assume that one of these was I wanted to deal with. Let's click on this one. Okay, so it's upside down picture of John here. Let's say that I wanted to deal with this particular one. All I would do is, click on it. I right click on it. I click on save to inbox, and I'm done. And then I go to the next. And there we go. And I go to the next, and I go to the next. Just basically scroll through them as much as I need to, or I go back to the list again for whatever I want to do. That's basically it. Okay. So the idea is I'm not taking any time to actually take the time and deal with this at all. All I'm doing is just dropping into inbox. Okay. So now if we were going to go ahead and refresh the screen here, you would see that the new thing we added is right here. See the picture of John just came in at this point in time. It's all chronological, by the way. So it'll just drop it in there. And of course, nobody has done anything with it yet. We haven't really managed it. But let's say I wanted to be able to look at this thing later, as an example. What I would do then is snooze the thing to come back and say, I don't know, come back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Or I can specify a specific date and time if I want to, snooze it, basically. That's it. Okay, so it's done. And so you're going through all of these. When I say manage, you're going through all of these things that you amassed from these different times, and you do this, but you do it in this part you do at a different time frame. So you do the notifications initially when you look at them. You actually drop things into inbox whenever you feel like it. You're looking, you see some couple of new notifications, quickly go ahead, drop them, and you're done. You're not coming to inbox at that point. You're just simply dropping them in there, and you're moving on with whatever you're doing. Okay. Then in your calendar, set up some times or dates and times recurringly where you're saying for 10 minutes a day, 3 days a week, I'm going to deal with managing my notifications. At that point, you pull up your inbox using this kind of display here. Okay. And then you see all of these things in place. And then you go ahead and you deal with them in terms of what are you going to do with them? You either look at them, or you snooze them, or you delete them, or you pin them, or you move them to a bundle, whatever you're going to do. Okay, you do it at that. So the actual management actually doing something with that particular item, you do at a predetermined time when it's convenient for you, so you don't ruin your schedule constantly jumping back and forth. Okay, and then that's the second part in terms of managing it. Then the dealing part is the last part that you would do, which is it'll come back and say anything that's been snoozed comes back into your stream saying, now you need to deal with it, then you deal with it. Okay. And of course, if you want to re-snooze it and say, okay, I know I set it up to be tomorrow at 8 a.m., but I really can't deal with it. So you snooze it to be the next day at 10 a.m. or whatever. Totally up to you. Nobody's forcing you into anything specific, and I can't give you any specifics in terms of what you should do personally because I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what kind of content you get, what kind of content you save, what kind of links you need. I mean, I don't know any of that. So to do a shameful plug for my own stuff, the spec zone is specifically meant to deal with people and their needs, meaning that you essentially get your own IT department whereby you talk to me and we get to know each other. I get to know exactly what your needs are, what your desires are, things like that. And then when we talk about these kind of things, we talk about them from a standpoint of specifically what you need. And I'm giving you information specific to your business, to your needs, as opposed to be what I'm doing now, which is kind of generic that tries to encompass everybody without getting very specific with details in terms of like what bundle should you create, what you should name them, things like that. Everybody has their own preferences for how they manage information, organize information. So with that being the case, my recommendation is that you need to apply your own management style, not management style, your own organizational style, I should say, in how you organize things to actually dealing with it. Is nothing I can tell you here would be specific to your situation. And so the spec zone is where we actually do specific things. But here it's more generic. So hopefully you'll be able to take this and then apply it accordingly to your deal. Or if you want to become a member of spec zone, that's certainly an option too. Then both of us can work on this together on your behalf. Going back to here again. So managing wise, we now get to the management part. One of the problems here, as you can see, there's all these reminders, everything are all over the place. So one thing we can do is get our friend Save here, where I can set up, let's say, just say reminders, for example. We'll set up a deal called reminders. And all we're going to do is we're going to say that anything that's in reminders right here, we want to see. And I'm going to go ahead and click submit, and it's going to create an entry. And we'll pull up, and there's the reminders right there. So if I click on the inbox link, by the way, if you don't know what Safe is, it's kind of like a more glorified and more capable version of quick links in Gmail. So it allows you to have links to information in either inbox or Gmail, and you can set up as many of these as you want. It's all working through Google Forms and Google Sheets, and then you can get right to it. So here's an example here. What I created basically is it opens up directly, and then you have nothing but all this saved information. In other words, the emails are out of here. All we're looking is all these reminders that were done. And unfortunately, as you can see, it shows me the reminders that are both not done, they're blue, and also show me the ones that are done. Okay? And so what I need to do here is I need to say, we need to create another one. So let's do another one. We're going to say, there's nothing wrong with what we did here, but new reminders, not done. And so we're going to go back here, create another entry, and we're going to say, we're going to look at reminders again. And we're going to say the ones that are done. I'm going to be tricking the thing a little bit here. Essentially, what's happening is new reminders not done. If I pull it up, you'll notice it'll actually show me reminders that are done, because the Safe tool doesn't have ability to do the not at this point. So see, it shows me everything that's done. You see all of them are black, means they're done. So what we need to do is you need to put this little minus sign. And so I'll give you a little hack. What you can do is I can go directly into this thing here, and I'm going to put a little minus sign right here. And let's see if it works. Yeah, I didn't take it. Okay, I'm just gonna edit it here, and then I'm gonna bookmark it. So if I put in reminders and put the minus sign up here, make it easier, then you can see that now it shows me nothing but blue ones. And then if I scroll all the way down, it's still going to be nothing but blue ones. So then I can go ahead and actually bookmark this because it's going to be used a lot. And then I can just have a single click access to this particular command by bookmarking it. So essentially that's what I have here. It shows email and that, and I can have another one that has just that. So the idea is that you can use save, or you can just manually change it and create a bookmark to be able to get all these different lists available to you and different ways of looking at the information. Okay. And then you know the pins again allow you to look at everything pinned. So if I click up here and click and say show me everything that's pinned, by clicking on this little thing at the top, is going to show me everything that's been pinned. And it takes a little while, so just give it a little time, but it will come up. And then, of course, if you're dealing with something that you're done with and you want to use the pin to just unpin it, then you unpin it once you're done with it, and it gets rid of it from that display here. So you can set up a number of items that were bookmarked or whatever from whatever sources, and then you can go ahead and, as when you actually deal with something, meaning you get rid of it. And so it's the same thing with links. For example, let's say you have articles, you want to read an article. So you go ahead and you have the article, you pull it up, you read the article. When you're done, you mark this thing as done by moving it to the done folder from the menu, and you're done. Or, as I was saying earlier, if you have all of these bundles, like for example, let's say that I wanted to put this into a bundle called beautiful photos, let's say. So beautiful photos. I'm going to create a bundle. And so now if I see it says move to beautiful photos, so if I go back down here to my bundles, then I have this bundle called beautiful photos. Now it has this one entry. If I click on it, it'll go to its source, which happens to be the Google Plus post from JC Clark. Does some very nice stuff. And right there. And I could have that particular bundle have a collection of all of these, and they would all show up one at a time, just like you saw on the other screen, and I can still see part of the picture anyway. So I can select it, and then if I needed to have it come back and remind me of something, I can do that. I mean, all these different things you can do. Also, reminders I can create directly from here by clicking on this thing. It'll drop them in here as well. So going back to what we talked about is we've taken the information from just copying a link, dropping it here as a reminder, both on desktop and on mobile, being able to go ahead and save to inbox, save to keep all these things being all together amassed in the inbox. And then that's the first part of it. And the second part is dealing with it, meaning you actually pull them all up and you deal with them in terms of this spinning and snoozing and deleting and moving or marking it done, whatever you need to do. That's the part when you actually do at specific calendar intervals. At least that would be my recommendation. And to manage it, that's part. But in terms of dealing with it, meaning you have an article that you saved, you need to read it, you need to figure out when you're going to be doing it, how you're going to be doing it. You actually need to deal with it in some way, because some of these things are simple: move to done or move to beautiful photos, and you're done. That's dealing with it. But in other cases, you actually need to respond to people. You save somebody's post, you need to write a reply. So, if that's the case, then you go ahead and when you actually, whatever time you dedicate to actually dealing with it. So the dealing with it part is the last part. Now that you moved everything wherever you wanted to move it, all the other stuff is done. The only thing that's left are things you need to deal with in that display here. So then you go ahead and deal with it, and then once you deal with it, then you get rid of it by moving it to done or unpinning it or whatever your preference is, deleting it if you don't need it any longer. You do something so it doesn't come up in the list anymore. Essentially, that's the process. Okay. And one thing I wanted to show you here too that you can do is you can actually go to a website. Let's say we go to let's go to David Amerlin's. Go to David's site, and let's say I wanted to bookmark this site. I mean, I can create a bookmark, but using our new approach here, we need to put it into inbox, right? So what I would do is then I would just simply jump into inbox. I would copy the URL for this site, and then when I come here, notice that I have a little link icon here above the fab deal, and so I click on it. It says copied link, and it shows David's URL, and I do the save to inbox. Okay, so I did that. Now, as you can imagine, if I click on the saved or look at the top of the deal, David's site is right there pointing to his latest article here, but it actually points to his entire site. So the picture shows the current article, but it's going to change to whatever, the actual URL will go right to his website. So if I click on it, it'll take me to his website, as you can imagine, right? And let's say I wanted to put it in some kind of bundle because it's an important URL. So I could go ahead and drop it into, and let's put them into classic, if you like that. And that's it. So now David's URL is stored in classic, and that's where I'm going to put all my important URLs, for example. And that's so I've managed it, I dealt with it, I'm done. Okay, so that's another way how you can get stuff in. From this point is you can just use copy the URL of whatever URL you want, and then you'll have a little link. Notice right now I don't have the link, and that's because I haven't copied anything. So if you actually need to copy the link from wherever into the clipboard, and then you'll be able to have it. You don't necessarily have to pull up the website itself. You don't have to do that. I mean, if I'm sitting on another website, let's say I'm sitting on my pictures, and I want to create my Take On Online site, for example. So I go Take On Online. I don't need to go to the website. I just need to copy the URL without going to it, right? And then I go and jump into the inbox. Now, wrong place here. No, I guess you do need to go to it. I take it back. You do need to go to it. So I actually went to the deal. And then when I go back here, no, it still doesn't do it. Weird. Let's try it again. It doesn't make any sense. So you take the deal and copy it, and then it comes up. Yeah. So I guess you have to be there and copy it, and then you got the link. You can do it. You can save to inbox, and it'll do it. So that's it for the demo. I think I pretty much showed everything I wanted to show you here. There is one last thing I wanted to show you, and that is this extension called Save This Page, Save to Google, as they call it. And that's something different. What you can do with that is if you go and you can actually click on this little extension deal, what it will do is it will save it to Google. You can add a tag. For example, as one or multiple tags you can add to it, right? And then once you add all the tags, then you can just get away from there, or you can go and look at all the ones that you've saved at a certain URL that Google has, and it's got all these different things. You can click on tags, and if I click on and you can see all the tags that I've set up. If I click on food, I will see this. The trouble with using this thing, even though it's kind of nifty and convenient, there's a deal I saved, is it doesn't go into the inbox. That's one thing I wish they did, but it doesn't. So this whole concept I described to you about all these different places, mobile, desktop, links, notifications, everything amassing itself and winding up in the inbox for later management, dissemination, and storage potentially, this particular extension doesn't do that. So it works by itself, and you're welcome to use it, obviously, but you can't make it part of the whole grand process where you're using inbox for everything. Okay, but it's a useful thing to have potentially for somebody who wants to. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's jump back to the demo here, and we use safe a little bit, and we'll move on to the next thing. And so at the end here, we'll just quickly recap the process. And the process is that we amass the data from everywhere, all these different sources. using either extensions for Chrome or using the sharing on the mobile devices, and we're just dropping things into which is basically sharing it with inbox. So everything winds up in the inbox. Then the second step is we dedicate certain amounts of time at certain days to manage these things, meaning we're gonna look at all of them, and then we're gonna either delete them, or we're gonna snooze them, or we're gonna save them in one of the bundles, or we're gonna pin them, and that's the management part. Then at some point in time, and that's fairly quick in terms of this part, you can dedicate 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day to just deal with this, and that's really quick because you're not really managing. I mean, you're managing it, but you're not dealing with it. Then you have to dedicate another time at some point in time where you're actually going to deal with things that are there on display. That once you manage everything, the only thing that's left is something you need to deal with. So then you actually deal with it, whether it's reading an article or snoozing something again, or filing it as done, whatever, however you want to deal with this thing. And then the last thing you do is just basically you're done. You don't have to do anything else. So really 3 steps. The last step is just to give you a motivation to get done with the first 3. So that's it for now. If you let me look and see if there was any questions here. I don't know if anybody put any questions. If you have, I'll be happy to answer them. And there are no questions. Okay, so we'll turn off this, and thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions after the hangout here, you're welcome to send them to me via Google+. That's the best place to find me. And let me see here. I think we're done here. The only thing I was going to show you was that you can reach me on Google+, either via my PCS page or my personal page. Those are the 2 pages shown up at the top. And you can contact me on Twitter if you wish. And last but not least, if you're interested in having some IT services for your small business, this is specifically for small businesses that can't afford to have their own IT departments, but definitely need the services, then you might want to take a peek at the Spec Zone, which is a membership type service. You can find it on Google+. Just search for Spec Zone, spelled right there, and we can take it from there. Again, thank you for listening, and until next time, take care.